Hey guys, it's me, Pokemon. I'm back, and today I want to talk to you guys about some characters I'd like to see reworked in Marvel Strike Force in 2021. It is the first day of 2021. So, I wanted to take a look through the roster, highlight some characters I think need reworked, and some ways I think they could rework them. And I think it's pretty exciting stuff because Foxnex is pretty good about reworking characters generally. I'm not a huge fan all the time of how sometimes I think they're more like Future Fight. The way they rework characters is they release a uniform you pay for. Not a big fan of that. Sometimes I feel like Strike Force, the way they rework a team is by releasing a new, like Fantastic Four, falling off a little bit. The release She-Hulk, which boots Namor off, which makes Namor useless, so now Namor needs a rework. And then the Fantastic Four is now better in the meta. So sometimes I think they're a little too dependent on, let's just release another character and then that'll fix the team, but I digress. So first up, we have two teams that need reworked because they've been banned for a while and they just had two, like a part of them, pulled to the Skeletor team. So we have the Wakandan team right here, where they just had Killmonger pulled to the team. And then we have the Defenders, which the Defenders had Punisher pulled to the team. Now, of course, you can't see Punisher when you look at Defenders because he doesn't show up there because he's not qualified as a Defender. He just has sort of written synergy with them. White Tiger's been data mined. I assume she'll go with one of these teams. I was originally thinking Wakandan, but after doing research, I just assume like Tiger, Panther, they all work together. But I really don't see a lot of connection there between White Tiger and the rest of them. I think canonically, she's in the Spider-Man show. She works like with those young heroes. I think she could go on a Young Avengers team, but I think it's also quite likely that she would go on the Defenders team and sort of be somebody to boost the Defenders. I think if I had to pick a team, I'd say she goes well with the Young Avengers, but the fact that White Tiger's data mined at this point and both Defenders and Wakandans need a fifth member, so does Young Avengers, but I think Young Avengers is doing better for themselves. You know, there's some interesting teams to consider that she might go on. Defenders, I would like to see, I think Night Nurse could be reworked and to go with the Defenders. Now, of course, they would have a double healer setup, so, you know, who really knows about that. And Wakandans, I don't know. The problem with, I think the core character, like Wakandans aren't like a team where they just need like one extra character to be good. Wakandans need a rework from the top to the bottom, really. That like Okoye is so bad and Baku's really bad, so they got to look into that. I think next up, there are two teams in this game. Almost everyone has been reworked in some way to sort of go on a team. There's some minions who got left behind. Aim Infector, too bad for him. Shield Trooper's kind of a meme character because he doesn't need superior uniques to get leveled up. But we have two teams that have been bad since the game Force launch. First, we have Ravagers. I really think we could see Taserface or something like that come to the game. Complete a Ravagers team. I'd really like to see this. So I know some people talking about giving Star-Lord and Yondu some synergy. I wouldn't mind it, but I really want to keep the core Guardians together. I think I'm going to talk about them later in this video. I think they need some help. I really want, there's a lot of cool cosmic characters like Nighthawk and you know, Nova, an assortment of sort of characters that I worry Foxnex has pulled a hole. Put them on the Guardian team. Guardian team's good now. I want to keep those fun. If we're gonna stick to these cookie cutter teams, I think it has to be Star-Lord, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Drax, and Gamora. I think that is the Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't want to see them separated with like an assortment of other cosmic characters. And I wouldn't mind, you know, Yondu and Star-Lord having a little bit of synergy just for fun, but I don't want that to be how they're fixed. I think they need a fifth member to complete the team, and as a whole they need a bit of a rework right here. They're just bad. Like, they've been bad. Maybe, like, I think they could work with stealing buffs. The problem is so many other teams steal buffs now. I don't really know what you can do with the Ravagers, but literally since the game is launched, I have not invested in them. They really need a little bit of help right here. Another team that's needed help since the start of time, Hand has been bad forever. They have never been a good team. Hand Sentry has been decent, but he's gotten power crept, so he's not even good anymore. And the Hand's an awkward team to deal with because you have 7 members, so no matter how you do this, 2 of these members are going to get left behind unless they go for like a street level villain team, and maybe they go like Elektra and Bullseye, and then they bring in a couple more street level villains. Maybe they could put Elektra on a team like that, and then you could do Nobu leading a team of Hand minions. I think maybe that's the best case scenario right there. But these people need a lot of work right here. I think it'd be cool if they worked a lot with invisibility and evade. I think that makes sense if they had high damage, low survivability, but a bunch of evades and invisibility, so that way they're a little tricky, a little difficult to deal with. So I think the Hand, I mean, look at them. They've been out since the beginning of the game, and I haven't leveled most of them past level 50. Like another team that needs a little bit of help going into the new year is the Guardians of the Galaxy. As you can see, I have them very high in terms of level. I'd argue I'm one of the experts on the Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't use Mantis though. I used Gamora. A little bit controversial there, but I really did like the Guardians of the Galaxy. I love the characters, and I used them for a long time in Strike Force. They've gotten power crept. They're really bad. There's a lot of stuff in their kits where, let's find an example right here with Gamora right here. She has a 40% chance to bonus attack up to 2 times. Why is that 40%? It's very ancient right there. You don't have a lot of, most stuff's guaranteed nowadays. I don't know why they have something like that that's only a 40% chance. If we take a look at Star-Lord right here, 50% chance to apply blind to a 3rd target. You know, a lot of stuff in their kits where it's low percentage chances. Usually that stuff gets leveled out as you increase the power on characters, and I just think it's disappointing that the Guardians have maintained that. I think honestly, if you took those percentages out of their kits, maybe boosted Drax's drain, I think the Guardians would be in a much better place. I think they just, you know, if they could guarantee this damage a little more frequently, I think that would help them out a lot. And if maybe, you know, they got a little slight stat buff, I think that would do the Guardians a lot of good. I think that's what's so painful about seeing them, is I think they're so borderline. They're very close to being at least like Avengers Wave 1 tier good. They just need a slight tweak to their kit. You know, don't need a full rework, don't need to throw another cosmic character on there. I think it'd be cool if you start building another cosmic team next year, like Nova, Darkhawk, Moondragon, Mantis, I don't know, what's his name, like the Champion or something like that. You know, build another cosmic team. I'm all for that, but I don't really know. And I don't want Mantis to go in the Ravager. I guess you could put Mantis on the Ravagers team, but not ideal. I'd rather not have Mantis go on the Ravagers team as a way to fix, you know, instead of adding another character, they're just like, well, let's put Mantis on the team since we already have her in the game. Not a big fan of that. I think Inhumans, they're good. I'd really like to see them get split into Shield and actual Inhumans. I don't want to talk much about teams that I think canonically need to be split up. There's 2 more teams I want to talk about. I think Young Avengers, they came out, they were a little weird. It's a poorly built team. It doesn't really follow any canon. Some of these characters that are Young Avengers in the game don't have the Young Avengers tag. So most of these characters on the Young Avengers team don't have the Young Avengers. They're not Young Avengers. There's a team called the Champions. Most of these characters are actually champions. This team doesn't really make sense. We have some people like American Chavez, who is really an A-Force team. I think we need to see that come to the game. A-Force, we put American Chavez on there. Captain Marvel, she needs a team. And then you could introduce, I think Quasar is another one of them, Blue Marvel. You could do this cool super, it's a very powerful team, you know, new meta right there. I think A-Force, we could see them come to the game. Hopefully something like that could happen with American Chavez. I think Young Avengers is just a mess as a whole. I think this team needs scrapped, honestly. I think Miles Morales should go on a Spider-Verse team, and I think, you know, Kamala Khan, Squirrel Girl, maybe you can go for a Young Avengers team with them, sort of a Young Avengers Champions team, and then you can start adding like Vision and stuff like that to the game. But this team's just a mess. They're not that strong in the game. They didn't even bother to give them a 5th member. It's been a long time since they came out of the game. I didn't think they were that great. I think it's more, let's wait and see what the 5th member is, and it's so bad canonically. They're not that good in the game. Let's just split them up. I don't like this team. I'm not a big fan of it. I think all these characters are just destined to go somewhere else eventually. And I want to talk about one more team. Now I know a lot of people like the Supernatural team, but I think I don't think they're that great. I think they're decent. They're certainly better than teams like Guardians of the Galaxy or Hand, but I don't think they're that good. And similar to Young Avengers, they're so bad canonically that I say, let's just split them up. Why not? There's so much potential with Supernatural. I think Supernatural, I've talked about a lot, needs to be split into like a Magician and then like a Supernatural side of things, where maybe on the Magician side, we have Doctor Strange, Mordo, Dr. Voodoo, Klee. You know, you go for this more magic side, and then you have this more supernatural side, like Man-Thing, Ghost Rider, Elsa Bloodstone, Moon Knight, Blade, Morbius, stuff like that. These more like monster-like characters. And I think Scarlet Witch really just needs to go with Vision and form another Avengers team or something like that. Technically, you could throw the Supernatural tag on her still, keep the Magician tag, but really, I think she's destined to work with Vision on an Avengers team or something like that. I think Supernatural, the fact that they're sort of falling off the meta a little bit, and instead of them adding just one more character like Moon Knight and being like, okay, we boot Scarlet Witch off, we put Moon Knight, the team works. I'd rather see these people split into 2 different teams, have them expand on those teams, and I think that would be super awesome personally. And of course, there's an assortment of single characters that I'd like to see reworked, like Spider-Man. I think he needs to see a rework, but I don't really talk about him that much because I think it's only a matter of time till we see a Spider-Verse team coming to the game. Iron Man, I think he's kind of garbage, but at least he's on the Power Armor team, and on that team, I think he functions pretty fine, so I don't complain much about Iron Man. I think really the teams I talked about today are where we really got to highlight. I think they need a little bit of help. But with that being said, let me know what you think about the characters that I think need reworked next year. Because at the end of the day, what do I know? Because I am only a 19-year-old. I hope everyone have a happy and healthy day, and I'll see you guys in the next feed. Sign off, everyone.